So we are here today to help solve a problem for South High School. We want to help South High School come to a decision on their brand identity since changing to the Spartans. So we are the design firm that was brought on board to assist with that. So we're here today to be part of your team and help guide you in that decision and provide you with as much information as possible so that those of you who would like to offer your feedback and have your voice heard when it comes to the South High brand, you have the opportunity to do so. Let me just introduce who we are. We are Willis and Williams Design Studios. We are partners here, and Mike Willis and I am Jennifer Williams Cordova. We are Bakersfield's longest running graphic design studio. And we were selected by your committee because we are local. We have connections to the Kern High School District. I graduated from North High. Mike actually graduated from West High, and both of his children attended South High School. So we definitely are community minded. We know what it's like to be from one of those long-standing Bakersfield schools, and we are proud to help South High because of our connections. So now let's get to why we're here. So this is who we are, and this is your team today. And the why. So why are we here doing this presentation? Well, when South High School changed the mascot to the Spartans in the spring of 2021, there was not a comprehensive stakeholder engagement process to choose the current logo. We are here to assist in that process and bring unity and cohesion to the South High School identity. Your feedback will be used to make the best choice for everyone and help South High collectively move forward with the Spartan brand past, present, and future students can be proud of. So it was expressed to us that when the mascot change happened, communication was very difficult. It was during the pandemic. And while they did take feedback on what the mascot would become, there wasn't a similar process when it came to the actual logo. So to help you and to guide you, I'm going to start this presentation with a little information on logo design and branding. I have actually been teaching graphic design at California State University, Bakersfield for the last 4 years, as well as my years of design experience. So I want to help you make a more informed decision before we get into the different options for the Spartan brand. So let's just start with the basics. What is a logo? A logo is a symbol used to identify an organization or business through a visual image that can be immediately recognizable. It conveys a message, hopefully it inspires trust and loyalty, and it's just one aspect of a company or entity's organization's commercial brand. It's just one part of the overall brand element, but it is an important one. It can consist of shapes, colors, fonts, images, and it is that symbol and that mark that connects visually to the brand identity. So what makes a good logo? These are just 5 general principles of effective logo design: simple, memorable, timeless, versatile, appropriate. And like I tell my students, there's an exception to every rule, but generally if it hits one of these marks, it is considered a good logo. So it would be a good, effective communication tool to use. Now I'm going to show you an example of what I think is a very good and effective logo. I think it hits all of these 5 principles of effective logo design. Now, if you're seeing this, chances are you know what this mark represents. If you don't, I am very surprised, but almost everybody I've shown this presentation to, anybody who sees this mark already makes a connection to it. It is the Nike logo, and it, without even any words or anything else attached to this, you know from years of exposure to this brand that the symbol represents Nike. The only mandate in logo design is that they be distinctive, memorable, and clear. This is a quote from American graphic designer Paul Rand, and I like to use this quote because essentially what it's saying here is that a logo can be anything. Just like that Nike swoosh, it doesn't necessarily have to represent the brand specifically. It can, as long as it's clear and memorable, then it can be a good logo. So that is a little background on logo design. Now I'd like to jump into branding and what is a good brand and what's the difference between a logo and the overall brand that we're trying to create. So brand is the identity and personality of a business or organization. Branding is not just a logo or the design elements, rather it's how the visuals come together with the experience to communicate thoughts and feelings about the brand. So everything from a customer's experience, or in this case, students or the community, and all of those visual elements coming together, any piece of communication, and all of the people's interaction with it, that is what makes up a brand. It's more than just a logo. The logo is used to identify, and the brand is everything else associated with that. So now, if you look at this slide, bringing the two together, this Nike logo is merely a symbol. It represents Nike, but it doesn't have any meaning necessarily. The meaning comes from what we think and feel and know about the brand. So everything that you thought of when you saw this symbol, that is the Nike brand in action, and that is the elements of effective branding. Now, in this process, I am not saying that we need to come up with something like the Nike swoosh, but this is just to help us start identifying elements of a brand and what makes a good brand as we get into this. I wanted to give you this quick lesson to provide this info. So at the end of the day, regardless of what that logo symbol is that South High ends up with, it's about us collectively moving forward as an institution and embracing the new brand together. So we hope that we can come up with a brand and a visual identity and a logo that the majority of South High's community can embrace and like, and can offer their feedback. It's with such a diverse and large institution like a high school, it's nearly impossible to land on something that every single person will be happy with, but we're hoping in this process with your feedback and your engagement that we can help make the best decision for everyone. Now, we began this process in fall of 2022 with your administration, and we sent out a survey that some of you may have filled out at that time. So through research and analysis and discovering who South High is, we use that information to help visually interpret our designs. So I'd like to share that information with you all as well. So when we asked who is South High, these were the words that we were supplied back. Things like family-oriented, community, welcoming, inclusive, traditional, integrity, unique. If the words were given to us more than one time, they are listed more than one time here as well. It's an overwhelmingly positive list of words, and it definitely shows the way that South High has a positive community family environment associated with it in the minds of the students and the people who filled out the survey. So to sum that up, South High School is more than a school. It's a family. It's a community that perceives itself stronger together than from any one individual. South High is resilient, proud, and ready to carry forth the tradition of excellence. The most common adjectives to describe South High School were words that reflect a warmth and kindness. So I think that's a pretty special way to be described by the people who interact with South High School, and I think that's something that you should all be very proud of. So it's important to think of these words and how South High thinks of themselves as of yourselves as we're moving forward and looking at the various brands. So South High students, when asked the same question for words to describe South High students specifically, there's a lot of connection between the school's list of words, but you'll see the same reflection of resilient, hardworking, confident, diverse, open-minded, passionate, again, very positive. South High students may face adversity, but they are willing to take on those challenges with grit, determination, hard work, and a smile. The words listed here paint a picture of positive strength and reflect the warm community environment as described in the school's list of words. So there's a lot of connection, and it's great to see that South High has a really strong sense of self and identifies themselves in such a positive way. So Spartans do it right. This is currently being used on campus. Everybody is probably familiar with it if you are from South High School, and that stands for respect, integrity, goals, heart, and tradition. So I put down here 4 of the most common list of words from our survey, and you can see there is a lot of connection and a lot of crossover and similarity. Community, diversity, hardworking, and resilient. So again, that's great. You have a really strong sense of identity as an institution. So hopefully we can take your visual identity and do the same thing with that. Okay, so now I'm going to jump into the South High School Spartan brand and what that is going to consist of. So of course it's the Spartans. As I thought I'd include a definition of Spartans in here just so we can all see how that reflects the words that were listed in the descriptions from the survey. A warrior of ancient Greece known for being elite, committed, strong in character, courageous, self-disciplined, and determined. So when you look at a definition of what a Spartan is and you think back to those words that were given, it was actually a great mascot choice that the school can get behind and embrace. It's very appropriate. The school's colors are a key component of the brand. These will not be changing. It's still going to be that Columbia blue and charcoal gray. We're going to supplement the two main colors with a secondary color palette of black and white and shades of gray. These can be supplemented to add depth and shading and highlights when appropriate. So the main reason we are here today, when asked in the survey we sent out in fall of 2022, what is your opinion of the South High School Spartan brand? The majority of stakeholder opinions were that they would like to see more options before making their decision. 70% of people who filled out that survey didn't necessarily say they liked or disliked the current brand. They just wanted to have a voice and see some more options before landing on the current logo. So that is absolutely why we're here today, and I'm about to show you those options. Option 1, you might be very familiar with option 1. It is currently being used on campus. Of the 5 brands that I'm going to show you today, option 1 is the one that would be keeping what is already being used. I know you've had a lot of change since the mascot change, so you might actually like the current brand in use, and this is your chance to express your opinion and favor of this brand. This brand is really, the logo itself has a sense of toughness and change and innovation. It's very modern and illustrative. We didn't make any changes to the logo, but we have expanded it to incorporate it into a broader brand that will give a little more options as it's being used. So option 1 is the current logo being used. Brand elements. So every brand that you will see today will consist of these 3 elements. It will have a primary logo, it'll have a block S, and it'll have a mascot. So the primary logo is what will be used in most cases. And then the block S is intended to provide a simplified, consistent graphic element. It has a lot of ties to that nostalgic school tradition, and it's intended to give another icon that's really simplified that can be used in lots of different cases. The mascot, or the sideline character, was created to show an example of how something like this in a logo could be interpreted into a character or a person. So this, you'll see if I click to the next slide, that the S in every primary logo is derived from a piece of the logo, and then the elements of this character change to tie in key elements of the logo itself. So these are just to show you how everything works together. And the mascot is just to show you that this logo like this could be interpreted into a character. And these components of every brand we'll show you will be consistent, just having slight similarities based on the unique points of the primary logo. Okay, so variations. It's always important to see how a logo works in different formats. So these are just some variations of the brand. It's important to see how it looks in one color. We could use this option without the emblem, and then we can make it in an emblem or a circle, and then this is a Spartan logo. So just want to show you the different ways this logo could be used to complete and round out the full brand package. The block S, again, this catalog of block S would not be limited to this, but these are just some examples of the way it could be used. This would come into play during athletics. and various school organizations, and it just gives you a really strong symbol to use for the Spartan brand. Now, this is what it might look like in embroidery. And then here it is on a t-shirt and a hat. So I also want to show it to you in use so you can get a feel for how the brand would work in different situations and on different elements. And here it is on a mug and a t-shirt. Okay, so next up, now we're going to get into our second option. This option we were asked to create as an alternative to option 1. As you will see, it is very, very similar. The only difference is the body language of the Spartan character that has been changed. Everything else about this brand you will see is entirely the same. So I'll click through this one a little bit faster. Every element in the branding is the same except for this central character. And we were just asked to see what to imagine the Spartan turning and facing forward rather than a side profile. And I think it's important to think about what that shift in body language represents and how it makes you feel, and if you think it is representative of who South High School is. So just think about that as you're deciding which logo that you like the best. Again, here it is as a primary logo, the block S and the mascot, all the same. And here where those elements are derived from each other. Here it is in logo variations, again, an emblem and without the mark on there, and then in one color. The block S is exactly the same as the block S from brand logo 1. And here it is embroidered on a t-shirt and a cap, and a mug and a shirt. Now we're going to move into option 3. So option 3 is very different. This logo was created to provide an option of the Spartan that was much different than the 2 Spartans that you had seen in current use at the school. This logo is more than just the fighter warrior stereotype. It definitely lends itself well to the academic part of the institution. It's a little more calm, and it's watching rather than ready to fight. It does have a very proud stance. And I think this logo really reflects that safety, community, and inclusiveness. And again, it's very modern and minimal and can be used in a lot of different ways. Here are the 3 brand elements for the South High School logo 3. You'll see the primary logo, the block S, and the little changes in the mascot. If I click over here, you'll see this S is derived from the shield, and it's accompanied with this very modern type for the logo itself. So the block S comes from the Spartan shield itself, and then these elements, the shield S and the top of the helmet, come from this logo here. Here are the variations in logo 3. It works very well, distilled down to 2 colors and 1 color. You can take off that sunburst behind it, but in full color usage, it does look really cool with that sunbeam radiating from the back of the Spartan. The block S in different uses. Again, the catalog wouldn't be limited to this, but this just shows you some options of how the block S can be used. It works really well for sports, and then you can create an emblem out of the block S as well, and then have different academic clubs or different groups using this as their logos as well. Here is an embroidery and a shirt and a cap, and then the mug and the shirt. So this is logo option 3. At the end of this, I should have said this in the beginning, at the end of this presentation, I will have a QR code and a link so that you can give us feedback. Option 4, this is the only version of the Spartan where it is looking straight ahead at the viewer. So this one is very unique and has much different body language, and it is forward thinking and hardworking. It's very modern, and it's also illustrative, but has a little bit of a minimal feel as well because it's a pretty simplified version of the Spartan with that straightforward view. This one is accompanied by a very bold, strong type to balance out the logo and the helmet. And you'll see the block S used here and then the mascot as well, and those little changes in the details between these three elements. The South High School logo here brings the helmet details, and then the S here is repeated in the shield once again. Here are variations. It works well in one color. It can work well in flat color, and then it can have highlights and gradients to make it look shiny and add some dimension to it. And it can also work separated from the type if it needs to be horizontal, and it also works as an emblem. The block S again, this block S has a much different feel from the other block S's, but it still has a very cool aesthetic to it, and it can be used for all the different sports and organizations on campus. Here is as an example of embroidery. And here it is on a shirt and on a cap. And here it is on a mug, and then another shirt option for some variation. Okay, option 5. So this logo is probably the most traditional icon of a Spartan, but it has a lot of unique elements mixed into it. You'll notice here that there are S's in the helmet. It has a very energetic momentum to it as it's moving forward in space. And then the way the icon and South High School are connected really show that unity and cohesiveness of the school as one big family unit. This one would also be considered modern and illustrative in style, but this one has a little more tradition with that side view of a Spartan that most people are used to seeing in icons. Has the primary logo here, and then the block S and the mascot. Again, these three elements were taken from each other and brought together. And you have the logo variation. So you have the horizontal version, the type only, one color, and then an emblem for this logo as well. Here are various ways the block S can be used. Here is an embroidery. Here is as a t-shirt and a hat. And here it is on the mug and the shirt. And here, all 5 together to help you see them side by side and decide which one you think is representative of South High School, which one you like the best, and you can compare and contrast them to each other. Okay, let's see. My last slide, I'm going to go ahead and jump forward, is the QR code. So this is our feedback form. If you'd like, these are printed and available in the office, or you can scan this QR code and you can do this digitally.